It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
It is Thursday, September the 5th. Good morning, one and all. It is a glorious day. It's a glorious time of year. Let's get right to it. Your top 5 at 6. We just heard from Queen, and why wouldn't we, as it is September 5th, Freddie Mercury's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Fred, I call him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, don't really, I guess. Let's see. Born in 1946. That means he would be 80 years old today. Nice. Happy birthday, Fred, wherever you are out there rocking. Freddie Mercury, once upon a time, made plans to start a new group with Elton John and Rod Stewart. Now, before you get too excited, they were hammered and partying for days. They decided they were going to call the band Hair, Nose, and Teeth.
I like it. It sounds like a lot of fun. If they could get together and do one song, that would have been great. But I'm guessing those three divas wouldn't last very long.
Well, we had blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, sure. Hair, nose, and teeth. Freddie said it's nice when you've had a lot of wine and you talk about it, but then the next day you get sober and Elton says, well, I'm not going to sing with Rod. And Rod says, I'm not going to sing with Freddie. And then Freddie said, well, I'm not going to sing with Elton. And then we realized it's never going to happen.
Ladies.
Yeah, man. But, you know, for a hot minute there, I bet it made sense. Every musician I've ever met, you get together and there's a certain point in the night when you're like, man, we should do something together. Right. And then thankfully you wake up the next day and go, nah, I'll stick with the animals I'm already playing with. Number 4 on your top 5 at 6, the caboose is back. Or as I call it, the caboose is what now? This is new to me, but decades of music, 5 decades of music in town. New ownership, the legendary place apparently on Cedar Avenue. Educate me, please.
Caboose. I mean, it's been around as long as I guess I wandered into town in 1987, and shortly thereafter, I was at the Caboose, the alternative, I guess, to First Avenue, where First Avenue got the bands up and coming. I would say the Caboose got them, Dick Dale. I saw Dick Dale there.
Okay.
You wouldn't see the up-and-comers so much as established legends would come through that, and of course, I loved it for the tribute shows in the winter. Right. The Last Waltz they would do.
Oh, nice.
Then when you get a lot of Minneapolis musicians together, and then the tribute season would roll off.
Right.
And I mean, it's been there, and man, a hell of a lot of bands have played at the Caboose. A lot of good times, and it's in a little district there with the Joint and Whiskey Junction. So, and there's parking. By God, you can park over there.
Sold.
Yes.
My first question before going anywhere. They're kicking off September 11th with a band called Twine. There are all sorts of things planned, but I'm of the mindset any old standard venue that's got a good history, bring it back. The more the merrier.
Happy Birthday Janice started there.
Oh wow. Okay. Right
before
on.
They moved over to the Ave. Yeah.
Fair enough. Number 3 on your top 5 at 6. A recent study found out how often various people from different groups, that is, different generations, are having sex. Gen Zs and Boomers 3 times a month.
Oh, the young generation and the old generation shouldn't coincide.
No, they shouldn't.
Wait, 3 times a month for Gen Zers?
Yeah, I think.
Solo.
I'm not sure what's going on there.
We're doomed.
I think they. I don't think they did I don't think that's a comprehensive survey myself. 3 times a month for the Gen Zers. For millennials and Gen Xers, it's 5 times a month.
Yeah, we're coming in strong. We're still getting the job done. Wait, do you have to have a partner to count as sex?
Well, Ryder was saying solo.
That's a very good point. We can discuss later in the show, of course. All I'll say is this: I have a soft spot in my, of course, in my heart for Gen Xers, as I am one. The first generation to grow up being like, wait, is sex going to kill me?
Right.
Yeah, we had our own issues. We had our crosses to bear for sure. Number 2 on your top 5 at 6, a St. Louis County school bus driver arrested 17 kids on his bus, a DWI, 44-year-old bus driver. Apparently, thankfully, he was drinking the night before, and people saw him. I think we've got a little piece of a story here for that.
Someone called authorities overnight saying they saw the 44-year-old bus driver drinking off the clock, and they were worried he wouldn't be sober by morning. Authorities contacted the driver around 6 a.m., and he told them he wasn't working that day. But about an hour later, later, the district found out the driver was working and was already on his route.
Shortly after, authorities pulled him over near Saginaw on his way to drop those kids off at Southridge School in Culver.
As for one parent we caught up with who had a child on the bus,
I want to know why he wasn't stopped last night or before he got on his bus this morning and my son got on the bus. We all could have lost our kids on the second day of school over something that was 100% preventable.
Authorities say the driver's preliminary breath test results indicated his blood alcohol content at the time was 0.16.
Woo, double the next morning.
Doubled up after having a few hours of sleep. Still, yeah, that's bad news. There's a side of me that always wants to say something like, well, I'm not even going to say it. You know what? Hell hath no fury, and nor should they for parents whose kids are on that bus.
No, that mom will keep on crying until they stick breathalyzers in those buses, and hey, why not?
They need to. I mean, for that guy's own protection, he needs to go away. Because parents, hey, man.
The Canadian border's right there.
It's right
close
there.
by.
Number one on your top 5 at 6. This is great news. Aaron Jones, now a member of the Minnesota Vikings. A man, we can forget his first 7 seasons over there across the state line. Aaron Jones, 29 years old, ready to reboot his career as a member of the Minnesota Vikings. What are his thoughts on new starting quarterback Sam Darnold? Brace yourselves. Here we go.
You've seen some really good quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. Where does Sam Darnold rank among those?
He's right up there with them. When you talk about being able to spin the ball, come in, command a huddle, and being a true leader, he's right there with those guys. And I'm calling it now, comeback player of the year.
There you have it.
Comeback player of the year. We're going all the way.
You can spin the ball.
I'm all in. I took the deep dive. I went down the rabbit hole last night watching Sam Darnold videos and prognosticators prognosticating. And with this Vikings team, he just might have a chance to be better than average, which is maybe all they'll need this year. I mean, look what they did with Kirk Cousins.
They got a lot of weapons.
They didn't get very far, but, the season, I'm saying, might not be a wash.
Let's hope for the best. Let's hope. Boy, what if that's the slogan? This season, it's not going to be a wash.
All right.
Skull. I'll take it. I don't. You know what? I'm just so damn excited to see some actual football, and we do kick the season off tonight.
Yeah.
Whoo, baby. Baltimore, Kansas City. It can't happen soon enough. Good morning to all of our friends in. Let me see. We're thinking about Minneapolis. That's right. Wherever we are. We like to give a little tip of the cap to our friends and neighbors. This one, we're right here. I'm talking to you. We're all Minneapolians.
Yeah. Sitting right
what do you
here.
call a Minneapolis
Minneapolitan.
resident? Minneapolitan. Thank you. I knew it was something like ice cream.
Unfortunate.
We are. We're happy. I'm. You know what? I'll just speak for myself. I'm still on the honeymoon, man. I love it up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, Steve. Thanks, Steve. Is it? But here,
I don't give a damn about Minneapolis or nothing else.
Well,
now that football season has started, it's not too early to put up the Halloween decorations, is it? Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. That was Stone Temple Pilots. That is a badass rock band that I always say, why did we put them in with grunge? Why did people associate them with grunge when they first hit the scene? They were just a great rock band.
Yeah, definitely not grunge. They didn't have that grunge thing going on. But, and banged out just a whole bunch of hits.
A lot of songs, a lot of good songs. On the show today at 7:50, we're going to be playing a game called What's That From? Western Edition.
I love Western.
For the Outlaw Tour, Western TV theme song.
Yeah, baby. For
TV
the
Westerns.
Outlaw Tour tickets, that's at 7:50. At 8:20, our buddy Sam Ekstrom. Haven't talked to him since last season. The season's upon us. Let's talk football with our buddy Sam. It's exciting. Football is upon us, which means it's just right around the corner to Halloween. Or, well, no, not really. It's 7 weeks. But that doesn't stop a woman in Fairfield, Ohio. There's a woman named Mary Ann Peters who begins setting up her Halloween display, her entire personal haunted house at her place, at her residence, not a business. She has Halloween decorations for days, and she usually begins them around the second week of August.
No.
She says it's 100-hour setup total to complete. It takes 100 hours to take it down at the end. And this year, earlier than ever, She has set up her Halloween decor, but she's gotten some complaints. Mary Ann here talking about it with a local news crew down in Ohio.
If I was disrupting somebody or, bothering people, I'm not. You could have came to me and said something like, hey, why? And I would have explained to them why I do it so early. It broke my heart because all my neighbors come and try to help me if they see me out here. My husband was diagnosed a year ago with cancer. He can't do as much after his chemo treatments. He's usually down for 2 weeks.
Oh, there you go. She's playing the cancer card.
Well, I mean, it's a card she has. But here's the thing. Okay, I totally get that. She's like, if people would just come up and talk to me about it. If I'm walking down the street and I see somebody in early August setting up Halloween decorations, the last thing I would want to do is talk to them. I'd go home and complain about them like everybody else.
Get on that. What's that app we do?
What am I, an adult?
Next Door app. You get on the Next Door app and you just piss and you moan and you whine.
Yeah, that's why that app exists.
You crack yourself an ice cold beer. The guys get together there for the chat session, the bitch session in the driveway. And what's she doing over there?
You get enough of the right-minded people, and you get enough beer in them, and then suddenly the pitchforks are out, and you got yourselves a witch trial.
Well, you know what you could do with that mob mentality, Steve. I like where you're going because we're having a couple of beers and we're bitching about it. When it gets dark out, we'll go over and we'll just tear them down.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's what the kids would do. Tear them down. She can start all over. 100 hours. Hey, I love me a big Halloween display. Maybe even more so than the big Christmas displays. Yeah. Love them all. But it's the wrong vibe for August. It's not time yet. But, if she does it, I'm looking at it here on the little TV piece they did on it. And she's got it all plugged in and lit up already. Just be a little more subdued, Get it set up and ready to roll, perhaps. But I like 100 hours on the Halloween display, but I don't want to see it on full display in August. At the end of the day, you're right. Who really
cares?
Let her do it all year. What the hell? Why don't people get to put up Christmas decorations all year?
Yeah, it's your house. Why even have a Christmas? I mean, let's take it the other way.
Do you even believe in Jesus?
I mean, does Jesus believe in me?
Listen, I just think it's important that we put the Christ back in Christmas.
Yes, Christ on a cross.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, why have sacred little fun times when we can just do it year-round and make it blasé?
Actually, the one part I did not share that I just realized, what really makes me laugh, I mean, I'm laughing at the fact that people do get in her face. People were calling the city to complain.
All right, calm down.
Chill. Is it spilling over into your yard?
No.
Are the lights keeping you up at night?
There's that.
I know enough about my neighbors generally to know that if what they're doing is decorating their own yard, that's the worst thing they're doing. You got a good situation.
Yeah, exactly. She's not crapping, beside your house in the middle of the night, or she doesn't have the washer and dryer out on the front lawn. That kind of thing. There's a lot of different ways this could go, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
You tell him, Woody. Woody Wabbit. All right, let's look back. 1998, the halcyon days. Were we ever so young? On this day, September 5th, Mark McGwire hit his 60th home run of the season as he was chasing down Roger Maris. That tied McGwire with Babe Ruth's single-season record. One more, he was going to tie Maris. Two more, he would break his record. On the same day, Sammy Sosa of the Cubs hit his 58th home run of the season.
Yeah.
And there were reports that both men were actually setting off Geiger counters from all the HGH and steroids coursing through their veins.
Yeah.
But, we ignored those reports largely as a nation because we were just so damned excited by all those dingers.
Look at that home run. Look at it go.
We were out of our minds.
Blasting 400-foot homers.
Yeah.
Like, I remember a 400-foot homer was this anomaly, this weird thing that would happen. And that season, it was just 400.
People were check-swinging home runs left and right.
Sammy was the best, though. Not only was he juicing, he was corking.
Gotta love it, man.
Juicing and corking, buddy.
He's a slave to the grind. Oh, man. Hey, speaking of steroids, on this day in 2007, Barry Bonds hit what turned out to be the final home run of the season as well as his career. He went long at Coors Field. He sat out most of the remaining games. The Giants were a miserable team that year. They lost 91 games. No reason for him to play. The September call-ups took all the time. As Barry Bonds hit number 762 for his career, we didn't know that would be his final home run. I am, and I try not to be the old man on my porch, but in my mind, it's still Hank Aaron, and the number's still 755.
I'm good with that.
And by the way, Barry Bonds a great player. I think all the steroid guys should be in the hall.
Yeah.
There should be a little, not an asterisk, but there should just be with the year that they're inducted and the years they played, it should be pretty obvious that they were all juicing. Baseball didn't stop them from doing it, so why are you stopping from honoring what they accomplished there? The whole thing makes me nuts. But in my mind, Hank Aaron is still the home run king. Call it what it is. Confused? Sure, I am. A little music history. In 2008, there was a big study released from some professors at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. And they said, you know what? We've surveyed 36,000 people from around the world, and we've concluded musical tastes and personality types are closely related. They said classical music fans are shy. Heavy metal fans are gentle and at ease with themselves.
Really?
Yeah. Fans of indie music have low self-esteem and are not hardworking.
All right. This is checking out so far. Yeah.
Fans of rap had high self-esteem and were outgoing. Country and Western fans, hardworking and outgoing. Reggae fans, creative, but not hardworking.
Well,
just say it. They're stoners. Fans of chart pop had high self-esteem, were not creative, but were hardworking and outgoing. All of this to say, huh?
Yeah, jazz, just a bunch of jerks.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, man, you don't understand it because it's jazz.
You don't understand it either. Knock it off.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. You're listening to the KQ Morning Show. Steve, Zep, Tony, and Ryder on 92 KQRS.
Hi, I was in your store. I'm home now, and I'm naked, and I'm thinking about you.
You're what?
I'm completely nude, and I'm thinking about you.
I've been thinking about you, too.
Hi, I was in your store. I'm home now. I'm naked, and I'm thinking about you.
So, pal, what kind of other problems do you have?
Hello?
Hi, I was in your store earlier.
Yes.
And I'm home now. I'm naked, and I'm thinking about you.
For what?
I'm completely nude.
So what should I do? Should I start up thinking about you too? Sorry for that. Don't say like that, okay?
I'm home now. I'm naked, and I'm thinking about you.
What do you want to from me?
I'm completely nude.
Huh?
I'm completely nude.
You.
I'm home now. I'm completely nude, and I'm thinking about you.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Can I call you back?
Yeah, I was in your store.
Uh-huh.
I'm home now.
Okay.
I'm naked, and I'm thinking about you.
I'm nude.
Well, that's pretty.
I'm nude. I'm nude.
Naked.
Shazam! All right, then.
Uh-huh.
I'm naked, and I'm thinking about you.
I'm sorry?
Naked.
Well, you need to see doctor.
I was in your store earlier.
Uh-huh.
I'm home now.
Uh-huh.
And I'm naked, and I'm thinking about you.
Hold on, please.
Thank you.
You must be sick. Uh-huh.
I'm home now, and I'm naked, and I'm thinking about you.
No, you're not. I don't have anything funny to say today. I'm just in a terrible mood.
Okay, thanks.
Are you going to call back?
I'm home now. I'm naked.
Oh, cut it out. I don't want to do this.
Hi, I was in your store earlier.
Yes, sir.
I'm home now.
Yes, sir.
And I'm naked, and I'm thinking about you.
Are you really?
Naked.
Well, what you want me to do about it? Put your clothes on and come back. Foolishness. You better keep your mouth shut.
Such a fine line between stupid and clever.
Oh, and we walk in every morning.
Man, I love it. I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, and I have never called a store to let them know that I'm naked and thinking about them. Can you say the same thing, Tony Lee?
I cannot.
All right.
You know, what was so much fun is they were always so bright and cheerful in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, hello, hi. Then, what?
No, not one of these calls.
Expect that.
It's pretty great. Pretty great stuff right there on the old KQ Morning Show. I mean, the old KQ Morning Show. That bit's been kicking around for a while, I would imagine.
She's a little dusty.
A little dusty, but it still works for me. Hey, there's a newly updated KQRS app. You can go to your favorite app store. Find the links at 92KQRS.com. Keep up, man. Stay with the times. We got a new app for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So here's what's going on today in the world. Specifically, I want to talk about Marseille, a city in France. They have a museum called the Museum of European and Mediterranean Civilizations.
Sounds boring as hell.
Sounds boring as hell. they have, like a lot of museums around the world, they've got a lot of nudes, a lot of works of art that show people in the buff.
Yeah.
And so a few days a month, they are having the museum open. And in fact, they're encouraging visitors to come explore the art in the nude yourself.
That's where I want to be nude next to one of those Greek perfect god statues with their big balls hanging in your face.
Well,
and
sure.
Makes me look just a little fatter and more out of shape.
This exhibition has 600 photographs, films, magazines, paintings, sculptures, and other artworks from naturist communities.
Yeah.
So, the French Naturist Federation, it's actually just one evening per month. They're like, listen, we just invite people to come in and experience the art fully buffed. They do ask you to wear shoes.
Oh, God.
We don't. It's a
Great.
parquet floor.
What about
we don't,
flip-flops?
We don't want anything. They're worried about splinters.
All right,
They're worried about splinters. So that's
Safety
another way
first.
to discourage you from rolling around with some new best friend you just made at the nude museum.
Or doing it with the neighbor girl out in the barn. That's where you could
exactly.
get a splinter. Yeah.
They've had a great turnout. People are showing up, 80 to 100 people each time they've done this.
Yeah.
Whether they were at the museum was asked if it was obligatory. Did you have to be nude on these nights to go? And the spokesperson said, well, it's logical. Anyone wanting to visit fully dressed during those hours might be considered a little odd. Which makes perfect sense to me.
I'd show up in a parka, just my big winter chukka boots,
I like it. You know what? You're going to have
uncomfortable.
You got a museum full of naked art. Let's all be naked when we go in there. I think every museum should put it this way.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the idea that you're really getting to know the art, because art is a living part. Yes, it's a 300-year-old painting, but it can still resonate within us now. We can still have visceral. Our central nervous systems can alight, when we see a certain piece of art.
Sure.
I mean, and for example, in Amsterdam, there is the Torture Museum of Amsterdam. It's been there for years. I accidentally disemboweled an employee there once because you want to be a part of the situation you're walking through.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that in Europe, they're like, no, it's a torture museum. Give it a try. And things went a little awry. So next time I'm in Marseille, I know where to go when I just want to walk around strangers on the buff. That's exciting news for me.
I've been saying this about concerts for years. I think we ought to have some concerts here in the cities where you just go, everyone just goes naked.
Sure. Kind of Woodstock-like.
Wouldn't hurt me.
Yeah, why not?
It's funny. I don't feel like I have a hang-up about, my body necessarily. It's the only one I've got. I've had it for decades now. But I've never been drawn to the nude experience, like publicly. It's not something I don't think about it either way. I'm not like horrified at the thought, and I'm not excited by the thought. I don't know. It's just a non-starter with me for some reason. Maybe I'm ignoring. Maybe I'm denying a burning desire to get out and just be naked more often.
No,
maybe
you're clearly repressed.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe I've just been avoiding this for so long.
Maybe it is because we love nudity. We like to be turned on by it. It's a little taboo. And if everyone's just walking around naked, then, what's the big deal? Why get naked in the first place?
Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, we can all relate to the excitement as at least younger men when you couldn't just find nudes everywhere you went. You couldn't find photos of naked people, or for that matter, porn. That you just pull your phone out of your pocket. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you had to work for it. You had to sneak into someone's father's study. You had to, you had to have an older brother. There was a protocol. There were hoops to jump through to see anybody ever naked.
Then you had to hide them somewhere in the house where mom wasn't going to find them. And if she did find them, you had to have that one weird friend you could blame it on, where mom would immediately go, oh, Rodney.
Oh, right.
Of course, I would have suspected,
Yeah, it was always good to have friends whose parents were going through a rocky patch too, because they're not going to pay attention to who's got HBO on in the basement.
No, and mom doesn't want to get a hold of that parent because she's just going to get a dish load about their lousy marriage and how things are going south. And so, it's good to have a Rodney around.
Yeah, those things happen. Good morning. We got a very nice text just giving us a lot of love from Michael in Woodbury. So, Michael, thank you, and everybody in Woodbury. Hey, what's up over there?
Yeah, on your way to Wisconsin
Woodbury.
to get illegal fireworks.
Absolutely.
Everyone has a friend in Woodbury, at least one, I feel like.
Is there a sign that says that? It should. Everyone has a friend in Woodbury.
Yeah, maybe that's the town slogan. I don't know.
Should be.
That'd be
Trademark
pretty great.
that.
My brothers, Dave, Doug, and I, at our school, were the benefactors of nicknames. We nicknamed people. We didn't mean to. It just turned into a thing where if we bestowed a nickname, a lot of them stuck. And speaking of nudes, this poor kid, he was a year behind me in school. And long story short, his nickname was, in reverse order, the last few years of high school, he was just known by everyone as P.
Yeah.
He was originally HP, and he was originally the human penis. And it all started from while running laps in middle school basketball. Again, long story short, no reason for the details. I dubbed him the human penis.
Ta-da.
And that's all it took. Boom. That was it.
Huzzah.
And then
knighted.
So we had to go HP for short because you couldn't look across geography class and go, hey, human penis. So it was like, HP, come over here. And he had no choice but to just accept his fate. That was just how it was.
Teacher's like, why are you calling him Hewlett-Packard?
And then HP was shortened to P.
Yeah.
And then literally for years, P. I saw him at an alumni soccer game 22 years after I graduated. And I was like, hey, what's up, P? And then I went, I can't believe I just called this adult man P.
Right.
And his response, hey, Steve, what's up, man? I mean, like, not even actually, he didn't say Steve. He said, hey, Beav, nicknames. They never go away.
Nice.
Dumb nicknames. Where do they come from and why? Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Yow! Ho! That's my little Axel for you. Yow! I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Thursday, September the 5th, and I have been called by my family and people that knew me before, up until I was about 17 years old. My nickname my whole life up until then was Beav and or Beaver. Just, hey, Beav. The Beaver. And it started because one of my brothers just called me that once.
Just one time. You didn't have the buck teeth, the very pronounced buck teeth when you were a kid.
You know, another one of my brothers did, but he was not the Beaver.
Yeah.
In fact, Dave, I don't remember Dave getting a nickname. Doug, 2 years older than me, was Bug Juice. Because Bug rhymes with Doug.
Yeah.
And it turned into Bug Juice. But by the time he was in high school, it was Huggy. And not necessarily after Huggy Bear.
No.
It was just Huggy. I mean, in my phone.
Kind of cute.
This is a man in his 60s.
Picturing him some very colorful, maroon corduroys.
No, not at all.
No,
he's still Huggy. I mean, that's what we all call him Huggy.
Were you like Steve or Beaver? Steve Beav?
Could have been. Yeah, Steve Beav.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I just noticed, too, is so my older siblings also would just call me Stevie. No one has ever called me Stevie that isn't last name Gorman and not older than me. But then my siblings had kids. So my nephews and nieces also call me Stevie. Like the only, I'll see a nephew or a niece, and they're all adults now.
Yeah.
But they'll just be like, hey, Stevie. And the weirdest thing happened. I have a nephew whose name is Eggy, because his name is Gregory, but his older brother couldn't say Gregory, called him Eggy, and that stuck from the time. I mean, like he was a month old, and he's been Eggy his whole life. He goes by Eggy. Eggy's dating a girl. So this is a very lovely young woman. I just met her for the first time, and the second time I saw her, she goes, hey, Stevie. And I'm like, Stevie? Yeah. But that's what Eggy calls me. That's what that's what his family refers to me. Hey, did you see Uncle Stevie? And so then I'm like, okay, we gotta nip this in the bud. Anyway, you say, but I was the Beaver my whole life because one time someone said, hey, Beaver. And it just, everyone laughed, and then that was it. Done.
All it takes.
That's all it takes. On the KQ Facebook page, we've asked, what's your dumb nickname? How did you get it? I love these. Matthew wrote, nickname Big Truck. Got into a fight in high school, whooped him good. Police showed up, and he told the officers he got hit by a big truck.
Nice.
That's perfect. That's a great nickname story.
Yeah, that's earning it.
Oh, hell yeah.
The hard way. I love it.
Breezy wrote that her nickname, her Facebook page is Breezy. She said, Breezy, I was a runaway as a kid, and, quote, they call me the Breeze was a popular song lyric back then. Yeah, that's strong. Breezy. That works. It's good.
Yeah.
Army buddy of mine called me the Big Cheese simply because I'm from Wisconsin, Justin.
Yeah, that's
a lot of that going on.
A lot in the Army. You know, we had a Stump. I've talked about Stump before just because he was very short and wide. So you were Stump. Yeah, and that's how you got it. Mine growing up was just, and of course, Zepp. It was just, it felt like a nickname, so everyone just called you Zepp. You just defaulted to Zepp.
Yeah, it's a fun name.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that one, but I was called Crash. If you go back to Woolsey, South Dakota, a lot of people will call me Crash because I just crashed a lot. Crashed motorcycles, I crashed cars,
on the couch.
I crashed horses, I crashed on the couch.
Yeah,
I fell a lot. Still do, unfortunately.
Tony, was there a nickname for you ever?
Yeah, it was a lot of times T. Lee, just because it's fun to say.
Yeah, T. Lee. Tone Loc.
T. Lee.
See, if you'd been at our school, that's what we would have started with, and then it would have evolved into Tea Leaf, and then you would have just been Leaf.
The Leaf, yeah.
It's always there's always like a third level, and then that's where it sits. One of my closest friends my whole life, a guy named Grant Schaus, his nickname was Rails.
Yeah.
To this day, Rails. Because you go into the bathroom, there's a handicap stall that has what we called grunt rails. And his name was Grant, so we called him Grant Rails, and then Grunt Rails, and then just Rails.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was
the
just
idea of the nickname is to get it as short as possible. Before the break, you were talking about P, the human penis, HP, and then he was just P. I mean, you just want to get it down to like one guttural, especially if you're a guy, just a sound.
And it just sticks, and there's just no getting around it. Great guy in my school. His name was David, and he was just tall for his age, and then we all caught up to him, but he had the growth spurt like between 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah.
So we all come back before 8th grade, and he's 6'2". We're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And we had no choice but to name him Mongo. and like I did with P, I saw Mongo at a in the late 90s. I hadn't seen this guy in 15 years, and there was a golf scramble fundraiser in our hometown, and I go back, and this guy walks up, and he is a very successful broker at a Wall Street dude, literally. And I'm like, I said this with just a heart of love, Mongo, and then I'm like, I can't. And he looked at me, and he did have a thing like, you didn't actually just call me that, did you? And I felt
Mongo only pawn.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, and I just felt like such an idiot. But hey, what it is, it's what he was called every day of his life. I'm sorry, and you go back to your life now. No one will know, but sorry, man, that's what you are.
There's a guy from high school. He was Irish and a little smaller, so his nickname was Leprechaun, and then that morphed into Leper. And I was on the yearbook staff at the time, and you put in your nickname, and he's like, Tony, I'm begging you. Don't put that in. He's like, my kids will see that someday, so we didn't.
You're a nice guy.
Man.
But I bet you it was written in there a couple of times. Hey, Leper, here, we'll see you in the next reunion.
Here's a good one on the text line, 651-989-ROCK. My son is Dylan Barber. When he was little, my sister called him Dilly Bar, but he got really mad. Now, as an adult, he's called that, and he's fine with it. Sure, Dilly Bar. That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
You're just happy.
Dilly Bar. I think that was created right here in good old Minnesota, wasn't it?
How about this? Last name Peterson turned into Peter Skin, and then evolved into simply Skin. What's up, Skin? Yeah, I love that. It's just too good, man. Let's see. Connie wrote in, my last name was Carr, so I was called Truck all through school.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. These are good. Colby Cheese, family name is Kolb, but older brothers were Colby. Sometimes they called me Little Cheese. This is just the way it's supposed to be.
Yep.
If you don't have, it's like kind of the thing of, the only trouble you ever got into in these days was, or not, people would occasionally try to give themselves a nickname, which has never, ever worked in the history of the world, except when Kobe Bryant said, call me Black Mamba, and somehow it worked. Like people just, okay. But seriously, it's the only time I can think of where someone said, call me this, and then the rest of the world went, sure. In our school, so I was Beaver. There was a kid in my class also named Rat. And that just simply came from soccer practice. Ball went into the creek. He went down after it, and someone said, what are you, a river rat? And he was never called Todd again. He was Rat from that moment forward. And because you're not trying to assign a nickname, sometimes that's the best way to make it happen.
Yeah.
We all got into Animal House, and a friend of mine came over and he goes, hey, man, start calling me Otter. And I was like, no, that's
really?
not how this works.
Yeah, everybody went through the Animal House phase where suddenly we all had to have nicknames, or the CB craze. I don't know if this hit,
your handle.
But in the Midwest, yeah, right after Smokey and the Bandit. And everybody had to have a CB. Suddenly they were in every truck and every tractor. And then, of course, everyone had to have a handle. I don't know why. Mine got Frankenstein. I was like, what? I mean, maybe because I like Frankenberry and everyone else was... I lived in Count Chocula County, and I was a Frankenberry, but I don't know why it's Frankenstein. I don't want that one. But the best way to make a nickname stick for life is to protest it. Well, if you say, no, don't call me that. It's not my nickname. Yeah, you just as well tattoo it on your forehead.
No kidding. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talking text line. Tony, who we got?
John, Brooklyn Park, man.
John, good morning.
Good morning.
John, give me your favorite band.
Elton John.
Give me your favorite team, any sport.
Minnesota Vikings.
All right, sir. You have passed the test. You may proceed. What do you got for us?
Back in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, there was a movie called Strange Brew.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
About two Canadians trying to scam beer from a beer company. Their names were Hoser, and I've been a Hoser for 40-some years, and so is my brother. We're both in our 60s.
Hose that, eh?
That's it. We all remember that movie very, very warmly around these parts. Trust me, that was a big one for us. Anybody at that age. Thank you for the call, John. We appreciate it. Or I should say, Hoser. I apologize.
Have a good day.
See ya.
Got a really skinny guy in the service. We're all in there. But we're all pretty scrawny, I guess, when you're 18 years old. But he was skin and bones, and so he was bony.
Yeah,
he got bony. That was a good one.
Boney's always good. This is classic right here on the text line. I'm the youngest of four. I used to get picked on all the time. Consequently, I used to pout a lot, which brought out even more teasing and the nickname Bongo Lips.
Bongo Lips? How do you get there?
Bongo Lips makes no sense, but man, it just sticks. Like you said, Zep, the worst thing you could ever do is go, no, don't call me that. Boom.
Bongo Lips now.
Yeah.
It's great.
Lime vodka Lloyd. Of course, he earned that one, green tongue and all. Him and his lime vodka. He's probably already down. Nope, they're not serving yet at the at Bears and Woolsey, but that's where you'd find him at the corner bar there. Lime vodka Lloyd. Puked it all over my mom's back seat of her cream-colored velvet seats in her New Yorker that she just got. Yeah, so
I can see it.
About 98 degrees on a Sunday afternoon. I get to sit in there and scrub his lime green vodka out.
Yeah.
It never really did come out.
No, it doesn't.
I talk about theater of the mind. I feel like I'm in that car right now.
Oh, lime vodka
Ryder,
Lloyd.
anything you want to share with us about nicknames?
Why? Did you see the text from Dad?
I did not see the text from Dad.
Ryder's dad texted in when they were real, and I think he screwed this up. When I was real little, they called me Breezy Poo. And I never really knew why, and Dad says it's because I farted a lot.
There it is.
Hey, old Breezy Poo.
Yeah.
Oh, don't think you're going to be called anything else in this building but Breezy Poo.
Yeah.
That's why we put her in her own studio. You don't know that, but she has her own studio.
And by the way, it'll be shortened to BP and then
Just P.
Just P.
Just good old P.
Another old P. The day our daughter Marley was born, I, at some point, was just holding her name's Marley. It's a perfectly unique, wonderful name. But I just said, look at little Binky. And Binky, some people use the word Binky for a little baby blanket.
Yeah.
We had previously had a cat named Binky, for crying out loud.
Good cat name.
But I said that while holding my brand new baby daughter, and I couldn't stop calling her Binky. And to this day, I call her B.
Yeah, B.
Cute.
I like that one.
Tony, who is on the horn?
Say hi to Jan.
Jan, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
We're great, thank you. Jan, what's your favorite band?
I would have to say Bob Seger.
That'll work. Favorite team, any sport?
The Lynx.
Nice.
I like that. Jan, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? No, I'm sorry. That's not the question. The question is, what did you call to share with us?
Well, my dad told me years ago when he was in the Army, he was in with this guy. His name was Constantine Liberacchioli. So that was kind of way too many letters to go with, so they called him Alphabet.
Oh, okay.
So
Now
that was his nickname. So
Yes.
I just thought of that as you guys were talking about nicknames, so I wanted to share it.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love
not
that. Never
uncommon
heard
in
that
the
one.
Army. Ours was Daniel Quibido. His last name Quibido. Yeah, and the drill sergeants just called him Alphabet.
Yep.
Yeah, just when you've got that many letters, you're just Alphabet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
All right.
fantastic.
Well, you guys have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Sure.
On the text line, here's one. Crop duster. I feel this is self-explanatory.
Yeah, it is. I'm guessing you don't have a pilot's license.
I doubt it. I do doubt it.
Jeez. Oh, Breezy Poo and Crop Duster coming to the party tonight.
What a match.
Yeah.
Friend of ours looked like the one-eyed Jack in the deck of cards, so he was called Jack. Yeah, that's a good one.
Not a bad look.
651-989-ROCK. Who else we got, Tony?
Rick, straight out of Egan.
Rick, good morning, sir. Give me your favorite band.
I'm going to go different like everybody else. I'm going to say Badfinger.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah. Always welcome Badfinger around these parts. Favorite team?
Now, got to be the Vikings again.
That'll work. But both your band and your team just touched by sadness and tragedy at all turns. But that's neither here nor there. What did you call to share with us? What did you call in for? What do you got? Lay it on us.
I had gotten a few nicknames when at work. That's what I'm a therapist, so work in the medical profession. I asked my supervisor when I was starting, when do I need to get my TB test?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, if you want to start working, I would run, Forrest, run. So then I got the nickname Forrest.
That'll work. That's
and
all right.
it did stick.
Yeah.
And then at the same company, same group, for some reason, I've been called a dork, D-O-R-K.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not sure how that started, but I think I brought it up about being a dork, and it stuck. So it was Forrest and Dork.
Forrest and Dork.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, wait. By the way, Forrest or Dork, National Shrink Day today. Did you know that? You're a therapist, right?
A national what day?
Shrink Day. You know, as in shrink, it's a National Therapist Day to pay homage to Bob Newhart since he played a psychiatrist on the Bob Newhart Show. I know they're not exactly the same, a therapist and a psychiatrist, but it is today, as he died on July 24th at age 94. But anyway, today is National Shrink Day. I just read that this morning.
I didn't know that, and now I know. Now I'm educated. That's great.
Thank you.
Then off you go, Forrest. Thank you for the call, brother. I just got a text from a buddy of mine, Kevin. He said a stoner in 10th grade Algebra 2, out of the blue, called me Mr. Malbert. No idea why, other than he was really high. My high school friends still call me the less formal Malbert, or Mal for short.
Yeah.
My nickname had nicknames, as all the good ones do.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love the idea of a kid being so stoned he calls someone else Mr. Malbert, which makes no sense. And everybody else going, yep, that's it. That's how this works. You can join Lisa Miller this Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m., starting at Twin Cities Indian Motorcycle Dealership in Rogers, then heading to Big Boar Barbecue in Hanover.
Yes.
All in support of One Wild Ride, motorcycle ride with Law Tigers and Minnesota Wild's Jake Middleton.
Yeah,
that
get
sounds
it in.
Awesome.
September, it dries up quick. October, the bike goes in. It depends on your October here, but yeah, September, some good riding out there.
That is awesome, man. Law Tigers and Jake Middleton. For more info and to register for the ride, check out 92kqrs.com.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show. Steve, Zepp, Tony, and Ryder on Minnesota's classic rock. 92 KQRS.
Happy birthday, Freddie Mercury, who is, if he were still with us, would be 78 years old today. I said earlier in the show, it's his 80th birthday after saying he was born in 1946, because sometimes I'm dumb. And right away a text came in, dude, he's 78. So thank you for the correction. Yeah, 78 today if he were still with us.
I was just going to say, he's not 78 and he's not 80. 1980. He's dead.
He is dead. Freddie Mercury, but boy, what a life he had.
Wonder how that voice would have held up. We talk about voices, with rockers over the years, but he wasn't a screamer.
No.
I mean, he had that great range and he could go way up there, but he wasn't a screamer.
Something tells me he would have hung on very nicely with those pipes. It is Thursday, I should say, September the 5th. Tomorrow night, the Outlaw Music Festival in Somerset, Wisconsin, over at the amphitheater. Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, John Mellencamp. Speaking of Somerset, not very far away is Hudson, Wisconsin. Want to give a quick shout out to Hudson. I do know of a place in Hudson called Ziggy's. I hear it's a good hang, good live music.
Yes.
All sorts of things. They got the watch parties for football. They got trivia. They got bands. Never been, but I've had several people completely give me unsolicited recommendations. Hey, if you're ever in Hudson, you got to hit Ziggy's. And I just want to say good morning to everybody in Hudson.
Yeah, I take that first left right across the river there. It'll take you to the old downtown Hudson there, and that's where all the action is. That's where all the fun is. Right along the river there for a good time.
Yeah, very, very nice. We have been discussing nicknames on the show and where people got nicknames. I have to share this text before the game. This just came in. My maiden name was Ripley.
Yeah.
You know where this is going. In high school, in the mid-'80s, I unfortunately farted out loud in social studies class. And a couple classmates gave me the name Ripper.
Yes.
I am still called that when I run into anyone from school, signed Ripper from Prior Lake.
Yeah, loud and proud Ripper.
Hell yeah, man.
That's a lifer right there. That's fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic. Let's see.
Why did they call you Ripper? Well, you've got the last name Ripley.
Well, that's it. Yeah, exactly. You got Ripley. So
I was going with an Aliens reference on that one until we got to the fart part.
That's my first thought as well. Tonight, the NFL kicks off a little Thursday night football. The Baltimore Ravens at Kansas City.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get two of the better teams in the league to go head-to-head to kick off the season. The NFL, they get the marketing right, don't they?
I know. There's a big shuffle. I don't pretend to know exactly what the algorithm is or how they do that, come up with the schedule each year, but that's not the first game, right? I mean, they cherry-picked this one for us, right? That must be how that happened. That's how we don't have South Carolina playing the Bucks or somebody like that. Yeah.
It's all I know is this: the older I get, the more wound up I get ahead of football season. It's because my kid, he's 24 years old, and the last 10 years he's just gotten more and more. And 10 years ago, I thought the NFL had peaked. I literally thought, like, okay, it's as big as it's ever going to be, and a combination off the field controversies nonstop, CTE, blah 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 blah. I remember 10 years ago thinking we'll look back one day and say this was the beginning of the end, and I've never been more wrong about anything in my life.
The NFL
has just exploded, bigger than ever, and so every year. But like for the last month, I mean, my son Connell, he texts every couple days. It'll be a quick text that says, "Oh man, 19 days." It's just like, okay. And then 18 days. And then the end result is I'm sitting here like a kid at Christmas.
Yeah, right.
I can't wait.
They do national polls. They do local polls. I just saw one here not too long ago locally. What's your favorite sport? Just your favorite sport.
Yeah.
Nationally, it's not even close. It's like 72% NFL. And I think locally, the one they did here, the Strib did, 68%. All in on the Vikes. Mm-hmm. And then, the Twins and the Wild and the Wolves all divvy up the rest.
It's just relentless.
Well, there it is.
And I can't wait.
One day a week. Right now it's Thursdays, and we have Friday night football, and we have Sunday night football. Monday night football has been around for decades, but primarily, that's your Sunday. And we get long winters here in Minnesota, and it's just a family affair. And I ebb and flow. I get excited and then a little less excited, but I was into the fantasy football thing for years, so I don't know if I was so much of a fan of football as I was fantasy football, which I think kind of when I found myself cheering against the hometown team, so the other team's running back would score so that I could win my fantasy football game, I thought, wait a minute, man, something's upside down here. But no, I'm still like a kid on Christmas morning here.
We've been talking about nicknames throughout the day. Where do they come from? Silly nicknames we have. On the KQ Talking text line, 651-989-ROCK. I can't even get to the bottom of this one, probably. Speaking of nicknames, here's some I've given to my neighbors. Buckshot, his wife Twitch, Paris, Flock of Seagulls, Toe Cutter, the Chicken, Gorilla Monsoon, Carpet Stain, Yard, the Toad. It just goes on and on. That, my friend, is that's a champion nickname fella. It looks like we are ready to go. As we mentioned, Sam Ekstrom, who we had a great time with last year, talking Vikings and general NFL once a week, is with us now. He's covered the Vikings since 2014, host and executive producer with the Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcast Network. Sam, good morning, sir. It's good to chat with you.
It is good to be back for another football season.
I tell you what, I mean, we were just saying, it's. I'm almost embarrassed. I get more and more excited now. The older I get, the more I can't wait for every football season. So let's just get right to it. Talk me off the ledge with Sam Darnold. I mean, how do you feel about this? How did you feel about him before he came here, and has that changed since he got to town?
I'm not going to come on here and sugarcoat it. I'm pessimistic about Sam Darnold over a full season. Mm-hmm. I look at the 4 years of being a full-time starting quarterback, and the deep passing is so below average. The third down conversions are so below average. He gets sacked quite a bit. Just the traditional touchdown to interception ratio is pretty lackluster. There's nothing in the resume that really suggests to me that he's going to do this over 17 games. Now, the kicker would be that he has a better coaching staff. He's got just a better infrastructure around him, and he's got a lot of weapons. He's got a better situation here than he did in Carolina, than he did in New York. I'm not sure he's got necessarily better blocking. I think that still could be an issue with the guards and the center, but I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it turning into like a miraculous playoff run, but I've been wrong before. We've seen this in the league a little bit with Baker Mayfield having a resurrection and Geno Smith kind of finding a second act with Seattle. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't see it based on what he did before in his career. And he hasn't put a lot on tape, in preseason either to convince us otherwise. I think he had one drive. And they got a field goal on that drive. So there's so little to go off of. Yeah. You just got to put your faith in Kevin O'Connell that it's going to be better.
You do. I mean, Sam, Zepp here, and I wish you could have seen Steve's body language when he asked you for just a little bit of hope, a little help here, and you pulled the stool out from under him, and he just went right down to the floor. I went down one of these rabbit holes. I was talking about this earlier because not real big on Sam Darnold after 4 seasons and as many games as he started. You know who you have at quarterback, but different system, better tackles. You're right, that pressure up the middle. But one of these goofballs on ESPN said, he's I forget, like an 80 or 90 quarterback rating when he's not pressured. Now, you might as well what a ridiculous thing to say because it's the NFL. You're going to get pressure. And with the Vikings this season, it might be right up the middle. But that's where I thought there might be a little hope here. If they can, last year, they did a pretty good job protecting the quarterback. Now, they had such a horrendous and chaotic quarterback play last year with 4 or 5 different quarterbacks that it may not have looked like that, but one of the better protecting offensive lines pass rush wise. And then he's got the weapons. And then if Aaron Jones and they can kick up a running game here, I think he has a chance to maybe be a little bit better than average in the NFL. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're hoping for average, right? Because he's been below average in all these seasons. He's been like bottom 5 in a lot of these seasons. Yeah. So if he's average, you're winning. You're in a good spot. And I think
go Vikes.
There's the hope. There's the positivity Steve needed this morning.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well,
hang on. I'm uncanceling my flights to New Orleans for February. Now I'm back in.
All right. Well, let's jump on the other side of the ball. Are we excited about the defense this year?
I am intrigued about the defense this year. I don't know if excited is the word as much as it is just fascinated because I feel like the Vikings went to the transfer portal and they brought in a bunch of guys like college football. Like they've got new edge rushers. The cornerback room is totally different. The defensive tackle room is totally remade. Like it's a super new look defense. And we barely saw any of them in the preseason. these cornerbacks have not played together at all. Like, they bring in Stephon Gilmore at the last second to try to save the group. Shaq Griffin has been hurt for the last 3-4 weeks. And, they've got a veteran and Fabian Moreau who might be in the rotation, and Byron Murphy is certainly the carryover from last year, but they haven't played together at all, except in practice this week, because they might, again, injuries and bringing in guys at the last second, learning the playbook. So I don't know what that group's going to look like. I don't know what the defensive, ends and outside linebackers are going to look like either, because we've seen so little of them in games. But no Danielle Hunter anymore. It's Jonathan Grenard. It's Andrew Van Ginkel. I love the acquisitions in free agency. I think they're super talented. The rookie Dallas Turner, it could look really awesome. I just haven't seen it yet, and I don't know how it's going to look. But I know that Brian Flores likes to be aggressive, so that's that's a good foundation to have, is that you're going to fly around, you're going to be aggressive, a lot of different personnel groupings, and it could be a fun defense. I don't know if it's going to be a good defense, but it might be a fun defense.
Talking with Sam Ekstrom on the KQ Morning Show, the Vikings against the New York Giants, first game in just a couple of days. Sam, Aaron Jones, new running back for the Vikings, says he believes he's just about to start entering his prime. He's about to turn 30. Is there any? Can you put any faith in the fact that he's got that much left in the tank to get excited about?
Yeah, if I had a nickel for every time I heard a guy say in training camp he's in the best shape of his life, I'd be retired. I don't put as much stock in that as I just do. He's been a really good player. I don't know if he has a lot to prove in that regard. I think he's just good. He's had some unbelievable years with Green Bay. Maybe a little bit down last year, but honestly, if you look at his last season compared to what the Vikings had with Madison and Ty Chandler, we would take it. The Vikings run game has been so down the last 2 years that if they get a normal Aaron Jones season, doesn't have to be spectacular, just a normal season from Aaron Jones, it's going to be a huge improvement. And I think you touched on it, Zepp. Surrounding Sam Darnold with a good run game is the biggest weapon to help him, because if he's in advantageous situations, that's going to make his life a whole lot easier. So if Aaron Jones gets going, and I think he can, and he can do it with only 12, to 15 snaps a game, I think that could be the biggest weapon for this offense.
Go ahead, Tony.
Sam, Tony here. Wide receiver Jalen Naylor is hurt. What's new? What's the extent of his injury?
Yeah, I'm pretty convinced he's going to miss this game. The way that Kevin O'Connell talked about him, it sounds like he's not on track to play. I think Jordan Addison, fortunately, is. So that's good. You've got your top two guys. And beyond that, probably a rotation between Brandon Powell and Tristan Jackson for your wide receiver 3, which is unfortunate that you lose Naylor, because I think he was really shining and ready to break out. But once again, like you said, injuries have been his kryptonite.
Sam Ekstrom's with us on the KQ Morning Show. If there was ever a time to need to play the New York Giants, I think it's week 1 for the Vikings. They're favored to win this game on the road. So basically the Giants, safe to say, are by all accounts a grease fire at this point.
Yeah, I'd say that they've gone from kind of being one of the darlings of the NFL 2 years ago to now having a coach on the hot seat, dare I say. I mean, they gave Daniel Jones just a ridiculous amount of money. And if you take out, guys, the 2022 Giants season, which I think a lot of people considered to be a fluke, there was just a lot of weird stuff, a lot of close games that they won. Daniel Jones is 13-30 as a starting quarterback in the other 4 seasons. He's coming off an ACL. The wide receiver room is super young. They don't have Saquon Barkley anymore.
Right.
Their offense was a tire fire last year. So this is a great team to start the season with, you would think, because the Viking schedule, Steve, is going to get really tough fast. San Francisco, Houston, New York, Green Bay, Detroit, they play all the tough teams early. So if you start 0-1, some people are prognosticating that could become 0-2, 0-3, 0-4. So you got to start out fast if you want to have a shot here in this tough NFC North.
Sam, J.J. McCarthy, obviously we're not going to see him on the field this year. Up until that torn meniscus, and we kind of have a sense, just because we've seen him play, of what he's capable of physically. But what was the word coming out of Vikings camp in terms of his ability to learn? Is he a computer brain? Is he one of those kind of guys who's got all the smarts required? Were they feeling really good about how quickly he was taking on all this new information?
Yeah, they were. And I honestly felt like the messaging was even getting more optimistic, too, about when he could be ready. And I think we started out going in saying, all right, he's on the bench for a year. We're okay with that. He's going to learn under Sam Darnold. And I felt like it was slowly shifting toward, hey, this guy might actually be ready sooner than we thought. He's super smart. He's super committed. He's a student of the game. And then he showed physically in that first preseason game a level of play that showed readiness. I mean, it showed that he could make tough throws, gritty throws. He could hang in the pocket. He could move. Like, he could do a lot of amazing things. And I think that could have changed the equation. I think that we could have seen him in the regular season. So for that to happen when it did was just a gut punch to the season. And, Mr. Negativity here again, if it goes the way that I think it might with Sam Darnold, you could have a pretty sad December if you're 4-9 and you can't put in your rookie quarterback to generate a little hope. That's going to be a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, silver lining, maybe at the end of the day, JJ having a full season with the clipboard in his hands, pays off long run, keeps him off the field, keeps him healthy. I mean, it's funny because he's already been injured, but I mean, this year he's going to learn. I'm just happy to hear you say that the team felt like he had enough upstairs, because of course that's equally, if not more important than whatever he can do with his feet and his arm.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. I mean, you'd love to have him in practice, getting those physical reps and still being able to, to use his legs and apply what he knows on the field. I think those are valuable. But you're right, too, that getting to sit in the film room and break that down every single week and go through the mental reps with Sam Darnold. I'm sure he'll work pretty closely still with Sam, and he'll be tied at the hip to him. And for all of Sam's faults, he has been in the league for 6-7 years and been in a lot of systems. So he probably is a pretty good teacher. But he knows that this is probably his lot in life, is that he's the 1-year guy and he's training J.J. McCarthy. And now he doesn't have the threat of J.J. McCarthy. And in some ways, maybe that makes it easier for Sam Darnold to be that mentor.
Looking at the schedule through the whole season, I mean, it is an absolute grinder. All I can say is thank God for the AFC South. But can't even say that for Houston anymore. But generally speaking, that's a pretty weak division. Have you got a prediction? I want to ask you for 2 predictions. Sunday's game, and as it stands right now, and I won't hold you to it, but what do you think the season's what do you think the record's going to be come February? But first, Giants on Sunday, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, there's a handful of games in week 1 that they're not going to go into the NFL Films archive. I mean, they're just ugly ones. One of those games
could be so ugly.
You've got to. I'm going to go 2019 Vikings find a way. I think the rookie kicker makes one at the end.
Yeah.
That the Gophers kicker didn't make in the Gophers first game. It'll be 2019 Vikings. For the season, man, I don't know if I can sit here saying what I've said about Sam Darnold and predict some kind of miraculous season. So I'm going to be a depressing 6-11, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's better than that, but that's just kind of where my gut is right now.
Right. No, that all checks out. But I mean, you do think we could beat the Gophers if we had to, right? I mean, the Vikings could take the Gophers if nothing else, right?
The Gophers can't a forward pass, so I feel pretty good about that. I mean, I think Justin Jefferson could do enough, but Gophers are a pretty good defense. They might get to Sam Darnold a little bit.
It might be a home field if they played at U.S. Bank. Maybe they could take them instead of Huntington.
Oh, the crowd would be on their side. Yeah.
Sam, last thing over the summer, any great? Did you see any concerts? Did you catch any? Did you go skydiving? What was the highlight of the summer, the off season?
I would say one fun thing. I had a work retreat out in Utah, St. George, Utah, and got to go to Zion National Park and Bryce Canyon, and got to do some unbelievable hikes out there. That was super cool with our Locked On Podcast Network team. Ton of fun doing that. And then and the wife and I just went to Cape Cod about a month ago. That was pretty fun too. I'd never been out there.
Yeah, nice.
Took a ferry out to Nantucket, rode the bikes around. So had a couple good little trips.
All right.
To get back to work.
Yeah. Now you're back in the tunnel for 6 months. I hope you enjoyed that daylight while you had it. Sam, great to chat with you again. We look forward to next week. Thank you, brother.
Well, no pick me up, no pep talk this morning.
Thanks, Coach.
No. Put your shoulder to the wheel and give it to me straight, baby. Hey, you can join Ryder for the 34th annual St. Croix Valley Riders Chili Feed this Saturday from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Gaslight Bar and Grill in Ellsworth, Wisconsin. We will have your chance to win tickets to Iron Maiden along with KQ swag. For more info, check out 92KQRS.com. Go hang out with Ryder. Have yourself a PBR. Make a night of it.
All right, and don't drink anything anyone brings to you in a milk jug. Don't do it. You may be tempted, Ryder. Don't do it.
The voice of experience, ladies and gentlemen.
Have one, I guess.
Fair enough.
I have puked in the back alley behind the Uptown Bar. Now we're going to take it to Wisconsin.
How about the Gaslight Tavern?
Wow.
You might be standing in a puddle back there.
What was the other one? Who's going to be wearing Ryder's pants at the end of the night? Some other line she said once. All right. First things first, we need to line up your top 5 at 9. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. You're listening to the KQ Morning Show. Steve, Zep, Tony, and Ryder on 92 KQRS.
Football is back. Having your buds over to watch the games, camaraderie, high-fiving, throwing down a cold one, and celebrating every score. The same guys every game, every week. Ruining the expensive carpet and antique coffee table, spending less time with the family, ugly divorce, neglecting your health, drinking heavily, sour body odor and belligerent attitude overtakes, alienating coworkers and clients, you're fired and withdraw. Pull the shades, stop eating, chant the name of your favorite childhood stuffed animal over and over, stare at cobwebs in moldy cellar, your naked body covered only in newspapers, reject God and hang yourself with your belt and swing silently, undiscovered for weeks, sparing yourself from the pain of knowing that your team didn't even make the playoffs. But for now, we've got everything you need for football Sundays. From microwave nachos in a helmet to extreme meatballs in 5-pound bags. Save now at all Walmart stores.
I think my favorite part is the hang yourself by your belt and not be discovered for weeks.
Right?
No, sure. I can understand why that'd be your favorite.
Started to sound like Sam Ekstrom's Vikings report there, didn't it? Got a little depressing.
Whew, baby. It's back, man. I'm excited. I'm Steve Gorman, and this is the KQ Morning Show, and it is September 5th, and we have football, and oh, goodness. Tonight, you got the Ravens at the Chiefs, 2 teams I cheer against with everything I have in me, but I'll watch every play of that damn game. I can't wait. If it's a good game, if it's a blowout, of course, I'll turn it off and go to bed. But, man, I'm hoping for a good one.
It'd be fun to see your boy Derrick Henry, what he does for the Ravens.
I'm cheering against the Ravens, and I want him to score 6 touchdowns tonight, and then they tie.
Yeah, as a Steelers fan, I'd like to see a pulled hammy. Something. Give them about 6 weeks on the bench. Actually, they don't play the frickin' Steelers till the back half of the season anyway. But you know what? Maybe this is a good sign because the Vikings notoriously underperform. For Vikings fans coming in very optimistic each year. You, Tony Lee, each and every year seem to be very optimistic. Not as much this year. Not getting that vibe. Yeah. Maybe they'll do it to us again, but overperform. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, as long as they make it fun. I just want fun and entertaining.
Well, 2 years ago, they won every close game. Last year, they lost every close game. Maybe this year, they run the table.
That's it.
17-0.
Well, it happened. I can't believe it.
It'll be fantastic. Sam Darnold is the man. Let's see what happens. I can't wait. But right now, hey, real quick, want to say hey to everybody over on the east side of St. Paul. Thanks for being with us this morning on the KQ Morning Show. Tony, you're not an east sider, though.
No, I'm Highland Parker.
Highland Parker. But do you, I mean, when I say east side of St. Paul, do you go, or is it okay?
East side? There's a lot of fine watering holes east side.
Okay. All right. Glad to know it. I just wonder if the local rivalry neighborhood to neighborhood, if it's still there in the central nervous system of a Tony Lee.
Central High was kind of a big rival. And they had, when I was playing football, we'd play Central, and they had a superstar, and his name was Tony Lee. And he scored like 3 touchdowns in one game. And so I kept hearing, Tony Lee, touchdown. Nice. And our people would go like, oh, wait, really?
Tony is here. Yeah.
So I thanked him.
Tony Lee, and where's our Tony Lee? Oh, he's down in the mascot uniform.
I thanked him after the game. He was like a 6'5" brother, and he was a superstar. And I'm like, there's no mistaking you from me.
Oh, that's fantastic. My brother Jim played basketball at a school in Baltimore called Morgan State University, and while there, he went up. He was sitting in the press box at a football game, and the guy said, "You have a good voice," and it led to one thing to another. Like he was on call in case they needed someone to make announcements during the game. I don't remember all the specifics, but he would actually, his senior year at school there, he was up there in the press box and would say, "Tackle on the play by number 17," and he would have a headset, and they would come up from the field. They'd let him know who made the tackle.
Yeah.
And anytime he missed the name, he just said every time, Jim Gorman. He just said his own name. Like the guy, he made like 11 solo tackles that game.
Jim Gorman.
Why not? And he did not go back the next week. That was just, he had his one shot. What are you going to do? All right, let's get to it. The top 5 at 9. Here we go. Aaron Jones of the Minnesota Vikings. Still sounds weird to say that. But Aaron Jones, he came over from the Packers, 29-year-old, coming off his least productive season since his rookie year because he had some injuries last year, but he's excited. He's ready to bounce back, and he says he's now in his prime. But wait till you hear what Aaron Jones says about Sam Darnold.
You've seen some really good quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. Where does Sam Darnold rank among those?
He's right up there with them. When you talk about being able to spin the ball, come in and command a huddle, and being a true leader, he's right there with those guys. And I'm calling it now, comeback player of the year.
Comeback player of the year.
I like the sound of that.
He would have to have been there before to come back, right?
Good point.
Sorry, just saying. Let's hope so. Hey, from your lips to football Jesus' ears, man. Come on, let's go. Number 4 on your top 5 at 9. A story out of the Iron Range. A woman was the target of a murder attempt. As she was running away from an assailant with a gun, he fired shots. She actually tripped and fell.
Okay.
As the bullet sailed towards her, and that apparently saved her life. A young man chased after a woman and shot at her and called the police and said, "I just shot a woman. I think I killed her." Wow. The bullets didn't hit her. She just tripped and fell and stayed down.
A timely fall. Yeah, a timely fall. Every horror movie we've ever seen, they just fall. I mean, it could be a mummy walking, 1 mile an hour, and the person falls. It never works out in their favor. In this case, it worked out very much in her favor. And I guess this kid called the cops. He said he thought he hit her. It was Dad's girlfriend?
It's a rough story. Yeah, the more information we're getting on this, it's just an ugly thing all around. Not that you need much uglier than, a guy was chasing a woman and shooting at her. But yes, it was a 22-year-old young man who was chasing his dad's girlfriend. Again, the whole idea of the trip and fall actually worked out in her favor. That's worth a mention. Whew.
Yeah.
Don't laugh at the trip and fall anymore. Number 3 on your top 5 at 9. A study is out about how much sex we're having. Boomers and Gen Z.
All right, the bookends of our generations.
Bookends. Yeah. 3 times a month.
3 times
a month. And now we're assuming this is sex with other people. So boomers, boomers, that makes sense.
Are they having boomers are having sex with Gen Zers 3 times?
No. But it doesn't say who they're having sex with, but they're not alone. Is my point.
Not a lot.
But the Gen Z kids,
what are you
3
doing
times
out there?
a month. What?
Put down the phone.
I was going to say
because they can't move out of mom and dad's house.
Oh,
that might be it.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine snapping your fingers and waking up and being in 9th grade again. It's just walking death. You just like, someone please get this. Can we do something about this? People say like, I wasn't high school grade. I'm like, no, I just walked around with an erection for 7 years. It was awful. Number 2 on your top 5 at 9, the Caboose is back.
Yeah.
The described as a funky cinder block music bar in Minneapolis, West Bank. I missed the Caboose era, but I'm happy I'm around for round 2. Apparently, this is quite the spot. 50th anniversary celebrations scheduled for this fall. It's been closed for a few years. New ownership. They want to bring it back to the way it once was.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first Ave of the West Bank over there, right by the Whiskey Junction, the joint. You've got a nice row of bars over there. You've got some parking. You want to get away with it. I'd say the up-and-comers were coming through First Avenue. The established bands that, before they all ran off to the casinos, would often come through the Caboose. And, of course, the tribute season. Happy Birthday, Janice started there. The Last Waltz performed there for many, many, many years. Caboose, just a damn good place to catch a tune or two.
Awesome. I'm all for, I love music venues that have stood the test of time, and seeing someone bring one back, I'm just, hey, man, if I had 3 thumbs, I'd put them all up, but I'm just going to give you 2. Number 1 on your top 5 at 9, it is September 5th, and that means it is Freddie Mercury's birthday, born on this day in 1946. Like most of your musical icons, there's no comparison. There's no one, when's the last time you saw somebody and said, oh, that guy's just like Freddie Mercury? It just doesn't happen.
No.
There was no one like him, but there's no one that he modeled himself after necessarily, and no one's, that's just such a unique, singular character in rock history. Freddie Mercury did, I saw an interview where he said Rod Stewart and Elton John and Freddie had an idea to put a group together, a 3-man vote. You heard of the 3 tenors?
Yeah.
This was just going to be the 3 something else.
Divas.
They were going to call it Hair, Nose, and Teeth.
Wow.
Hair, Nose, and Teeth. And he said, it's always a fun idea when everyone's hammered drinking wine, but then you wake up the next day, you're sober, and you're like, well, I don't want to sing with him, and he doesn't want to sing with him, and I don't want to sing with either of them. And yeah, the egos of those 3 guys. And I'm not disparaging them, because God bless those 3 egos, but you don't want them. You don't want to be in an elevator with those 3. I can assure you that.
Not. If they could have eked out one tune together, that would have been fun to listen to.
Would have been. Bowie and Freddie, they went in once. They didn't say, let's go make an album now.
No, they didn't.
Not a chance. Anyway, happy birthday, Fred, wherever you are. I call him Fred.
Yeah.
A little more intimate.
I call him the Merc.
The Merc.
Nicknames this morning. Hey, Merc.
Well, there was a kid in my school named John Morris, and so of course he was Merc, as in Mercury Morris, the old Dolphins running back. Yeah,
with Zonka.
Mercury Morris ended up as an officer in the Air Force, and now he's an attorney, legitimate badass.
Yeah.
But still, if we see him, he's Merc.
Yeah.
And he's still the kid who, on an overnight soccer trip in high school, slept in the rollaway bed while it was folded up, feet out one side, body out the. It's like his trunk. Yeah. We closed it on him. We laid him crossways on a twin bed and then folded it up, and so his head was out one end, his feet were out the other, and we left him there all night.
It's like a Mercury taco.
That's it. And literally, and again, there's an alumni soccer game many years later. We're all old men out there playing, and we're looking at him going like, he could kick all of our asses right now. And thank God he's decided to forgive us. Anyway, what are you going to do? There you have it. We've also got, while we're looking forward to football, not only tonight's game, but then on Sunday, of course, the Giants, the Vikings, it's all happening. I guess the Green Bay Packers have a game this weekend. I don't really care. But high hopes over there for Jordan Love. I got to give him credit. He did turn it around midway through the season last year. This could be the most grating of seasons, where the Vikings are stumbling and the Packers are soaring. We'll see how it goes. But you know what? I'm ready for it. Whatever it takes, let's go. I'm excited. But before we look forward, no harm in looking back. We do have sports and music history coming up. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Thursday, September 5th. We've been talking nicknames throughout the morning today. A lot of great nickname stories on the Facebook page, and we got a ton of texts as well. I like this one on Facebook page. A guy named Roger said his nickname is Ralph because an old family friend's boyfriend at the time couldn't remember my name other than it started with an R. This started in the early 60s, and to this day, the family still calls me Ralph. I took a trip once up to a tiny town in Indiana with some friends, like junior year spring break high school. I go back to my friend's hometown, Hazleton, Indiana, and their neighbors were called the Brackens. A bunch of girls, family of girls, and we were hung out with them all week. And I kept calling them the Beckers. I just couldn't get Bracken in my head. And to this day, my friend, they now have referred to them as the Beckers. They changed it. They're like, the Beckers. Everyone, the Becker girls. It's better than the Brackens. These things happen sometimes. I like this. Here's another good nickname story. D. Grunders. D, the letter, and then Grunders. I wore Charlie Brown boxers. And a friend of mine just said, "Hey, D. Grunders." I have no idea how he came up with Grunders, but it's there. There it is.
Yeah, nicknames don't have to make sense.
Yeah.
They just have to be applied.
And then someone followed up and said, well, Grunders equals underwear. You were wearing boxers. In our house, we called them Grundies.
Oh, yeah, the Grundables.
Wow,
yeah, the Grundies.
All right.
I haven't heard that one in a while.
And here's another very common one. I knew two people with this nickname. Sam wrote in, Brillo. I have very coarse hair, like a Brillo pad. Okay. Not one, but two Brillos in my hometown in high school. Yeah, sure. We should have called the other guy SOS, I guess. Let's shake it up.
Yeah, right.
You had two of those hard scrubbing pads back in the day.
Marketing competition.
How about this one? Ann wrote, nicknames were not allowed in our house. Wow.
Taboo?
Wow. I guess so.
Yeah. That's probably the mom that used all three names when you got into trouble, Yeah. Brian, Earl, Zapp.
Charlie wrote tuna. Charlie the tuna.
Yeah.
Wow, sure. Simple. That makes sense. The nicknames continue to ring out. I enjoy those. On the text line, my name is Mindy. My older brother could not pronounce it, so he called me Minnie, which became Minnie Mouse, and then eventually just Mouse. That's my kind of nickname story. I like the twists and turns. I like when you have to work backwards to explain it, especially when it all makes perfect sense. And that's one of those cases right there. Very, very good. We appreciate we had a lot of calls today. We gave away some tickets, talked to Sam Ekstrom about the Vikings. Don't get your hopes up. A lot of great time. This is a good day today.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Now I'm going to go home and prepare myself for a little actual football, and then Sunday, forget it. I'm in front of the TV for 12 hours.
You got to camp out,
Cannot wait. Right now, let's look back on this day in 1988. Mark McGwire of the Cardinals hit his 60th home run of the season. That tied Babe Ruth's single-season record and left him one shy of the record, Roger Maris, 61. On that same day, Sammy Sosa was right behind him with his 58th home run of the season. Both men, it was reported, were setting off Geiger counters from all of the steroids flowing through their bodies at that time. We didn't care. We were just following the long ball, having fun.
Yeah, and Sammy wasn't leaving anything to chance. He was also corking. Remember corking?
It's the best.
He got busted twice. Corking his bat and steroids.
Steroids and corking the bats. God bless Sammy Sosa, who, last I saw, now looks like an oddly shaped white woman. Sorry, he really did a number on himself.
Yeah, he did.
He does not look right.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.